People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast.
Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Whoa. Oh, mistake number one. It's like we're back, and then all of a sudden, stream starting soon. Hey, it's Oilers Live. Back for the 2025-2026 edition of Oilers Live on the Heavy Hockey Network. I've got three really good guys on the show tonight. We've got Kevin McCurdy back with us tonight. Thanks for joining, Kevin. Patrick from the Oilers Fanatic, and senior writer for Heavy Hockey, Mr. Ryan Lotsberg. Welcome, guys. Welcome back. It's Joey Moss's 62nd birthday today. So happy heavenly birthday to Mr. Joey Moss today. So it's kind of a special occasion in Oilers country. And I see that we're not streaming on Twitter. Anybody can anybody confirm that right now? Man, I know every year we're back, and it's like we need a really good producer or something.
Preseason for us too.
That's right.
Yeah,
No, we are on. We are.
No, it says you're good.
Yeah. All right. There we go. All right. Well, let's make this one count tonight, guys. We got lots to talk about. We're going to talk about, well, you know what?
Did we just lose Michael's mic?
I think we did.
Okay, that wasn't just me then. Okay, good.
No. He totally just dropped his mic.
And when you hear saying the smartest things you'll say all episode, I'm sure that he's struggling over there. But yeah, lots to talk about. Patrick, why don't you take us through the big stories going on in Oilers Nation right now?
Absolutely. Well, it's been Vasily Podkolzin in the highlights and the headlines the last couple days. First, for great news, signing a brand new 3-year extension for $2.95 million AAV. So it was fantastic getting him locked in. Unfortunately, the sad news followed up. He loses his father suddenly, so he's headed back to Russia, and wishing the Podkolzin family all the best, sending our thoughts their way. So the Oilers, after just signing Podkolzin, are going to be without him for a while, but it just gives other guys an opportunity here. I've talked about it on the Oilers Fanatic, obviously, with Zach Hyman being out till November 1st. Other guys are going to try and force their way onto this lineup, and with Hyman down, Podkolzin away for a short period of time, that does give opportunities to other guys. So we'll see what happens there with that. And Sorry, had a weird noise going through my place there. And yeah, so the last couple days we've been talking about Connor McDavid as well. There was some reports from Elliot Friedman that we may be seeing something happen here in the next 2 weeks before the season starts. Obviously, that would be ideal for the Oilers here. If you get past the start of the regular season, you start to lose some pressure points to get that contract done. And obviously, the last thing Oilers and Oilers fans want to see is this one drag out till July. So hopefully something in the next 2 weeks for Connor McDavid. And that's basically the latest there. We got the preseason underway here, 2-1-1 so far. Looked pretty good so far. Some standouts, Atro Lepinen for the Oilers. Matt Savoy's looked good so far. But yeah, I'll let you guys kind of chime in there as well. But that's basically the latest news here.
Yeah, Lepinen, I think, has been kind of the story of the of camp so far, if I'm being honest. I have not watched all the games. I did watch last night's unfortunate adventure, I guess we'll call it, and um, Lepinen consistently game over game stands out to me. I think you're right. Savoy is also in there. Noah Philp is making some very clever, or is playing some very clever hockey. Overall in the games that we've seen him, that nifty pass that he made to Emberson for the winning goal 2 nights ago, that was a really slick pass even during the season. So it's nice to see him using all of his brain and making smart hockey plays all the way up and down the ice.
I think Philp had a good game against Winnipeg there. Had made a couple nice little plays like that. Like you said, the pass to Emberson was great. He drew 3 defenders towards him and hit the open man at the point, and Emberson did the rest. And it was nice to see Emberson get a goal too. Lepinen has definitely been a big standout though. I personally feel like the roster is pretty set. So I don't anticipate any surprises forcing their way onto the roster, but Lepinen is definitely a guy to watch. He's super smooth, silky smooth with the puck, great transition passes, good puck retrievals. My only thing with him is I do think he needs a little time in the A just to get a little more used to the North American game. There was a few instances where he made a good pass tape to tape. It was just the guy that got it couldn't do anything with it because it was a really like the spacing wasn't quite right, and they had to turn back and they had to start defending a little bit more again. Or it took them a lot longer to get out of the zone than it maybe should have. There was also that one pizza up the middle against Winnipeg, I believe it was too. I mean, that happens sometimes. One mistake, you can live with it. But lots to like about Lepinen. I mean, led the entire Finnish league in scoring last year as a defenseman, set a record for points by a defenseman last year, and we're seeing reasons why so far in camp. So it's been fun to see.
One thing that I've been really actually happy to see, just as I have a quick look through it here on the other screen, is just how many of these guys are waivers exempt. So like we've taken a roster where I didn't really love the direction Bakersfield was going last year as a whole, and we've hauled on a whole bunch of new young talent from Europe and other places, NCAA, and all of these guys, there's a few that are going to have to pass through waivers. Robbie Gerventi, unfortunately, is probably going to, and same with James Hamblin. I think Noah Philp probably makes the team out of camp this year based on what I've seen. So you're right. I think it's definitely pretty close to being locked in, but we definitely can move some folks around without a whole lot of risk, which I think is a huge benefit to this team.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I was just taking a look on Puckpedia as well. You're right. There's a few guys on that'll need waivers. Yarventi being one, Alec Regula being another. But a lot of the new signings that we made from Europe and the NCAA are waivers exempt, so no risk of losing them. They're ours for the season for sure. at the very least in most cases. So that's really good to see. And Bakersfield has definitely been reimagined this year. If you missed my training camp preview article, I did a little projection of what the Condors roster could look like this year, and it's a lot of turnover. I think Brown and Deneen were the only two D holdovers from last year, and the forward group is pretty much entirely reimagined as well. It's younger, it's faster, it's a little more skilled, and I think that's kind of Bowman's vision. That's his fingerprint on the prospect pipeline here, and I think that's what we're going to see happen with the big club eventually as well.
Yeah, and it's nice to see too,
That's-
like a little bit of. I think we're back there, Michael. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah. Sorry, maybe I'm back. I don't know.
No, you're good. You're good.
It
Everything's
sounds
good.
like you're back.
Good.
Yeah, no, you just had this like slick digital trail off and then, like rolled off into the sunset well before the end of the stream.
Yeah. Well, first show. I mean, what more can you ask? I think some stranger said in the chat, preseason form.
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
I'm sure you were saying something interesting, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Probably the most riveting stuff I've ever said. That's the sad part.
Just
All
going
right,
back
carry
to
on,
the
guys.
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just going to say, just going back to the latest news there. I didn't mention. Someone was mentioning in the chat there, JL. What do you guys think of the new alternate jersey that came out last weekend? I personally love it.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Certainly nothing that I hate about it, but yeah.
I was initially disgusted with the cream color when I first learned that was likely going to be what it was going to be. But it was after seeing it in person, it's not as cream as I thought it would be. It's off white, but it's lighter than I was expecting, so that's a positive. They managed to squeeze an oil drop in there, which there's still only one jersey that hasn't had the oil drop, which is the Todd McFarlane the gear shift jersey. It's from the early 2000s, so it was nice to see that they incorporated the oil drop, even though they forced it in there in the middle of the scripted S. I don't mind the logo. Like, I generally don't like text logos, but this one actually looks pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of the shoulders, and I'm not a huge fan of the numbering and the font they chose. I don't think it matches the logo very well. That's just me.
You know what? Like, I like it because it's actually a little bit different, right? And it's yeah. I mean, getting away from like the Oilers logo on a third jersey is not a bad thing for me. Yeah, I like the script, and yeah, I do like that. It's good pickup, by the way, on the oil drop in the S, but that's I kind of like that too. Yeah.
I'm just glad they found a way to squeeze it in.
At the same time, I'll be honest, I hate third jerseys because they wear them for however many games they wear them for, and we go out and we buy them and we never see them again. So
yeah, and jersey prices these days are kind of ridiculous too. Like,
yeah,
kind of an Edmonton Trappers throwback, hey, in terms of like
absolutely.
like in terms of the logo vibe. Like, I know that's an old poll, but it sort of reminds me of that kind of cursive scrawl.
When Eric Friesen was saying that it's kind of a throwback or a homage to the Edmonton Flyers from the 60s, who had like a similar their scripted logo. So I'm not sure if that was their intent or not, but the connection is certainly there.
Yeah, he's pretty good at Eric's pretty good at picking that stuff up. I don't know if he's just keeping his ears open or whatever, but he always seems to understand where the jersey's coming from, or stays on top of what the chatter's been about. So my pick would be, although it's probably likely that it's a little bit of both, because it does have that Trappers feel to it, just in the font, but they both kind of work. And did everybody order one already?
I ordered 12 actually. Maybe
I'm going in on the
13
17th
for free. Yeah.
Not,
And
you
what
count me
number?
out of this
What
one.
number are you taking? Anybody taking 53 or what? Or
I was actually thinking about that.
44? 44?
Mhm.
44s will be flying off the shelves.
Yeah, before it gets retired.
Speaking of
Just
numbers,
like they'll be
actually,
flying down to down to Bakersfield.
That's right. Yeah.
I actually wanted to take a minute and point that out. That is something I like that the organization did, is making the unified numbering across both the farm team and the main team. I think it reduces confusion for sure, and I also think it does a heck of a job of making the underlings feel like they're part of the organization, regardless of if they're present or not, and that they know that that spot is theirs. If they make it up to the bigs, it's still, their number in both places. I think it's a classy move, and I just think, as simple as a message it is, I think it sends the right one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I learned something because I didn't realize they'd done that. There you
Yeah,
go.
no, I made that change this summer, I think,
Yeah.
if I remember reading it somewhere.
yeah, that's new for the team this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. So while I was trying to get my audio back, guys, what what did I miss? I mean, besides all the chirps in the chat, looks like Michael's been picked up on waivers. That's one of my
Well, he's
favorites.
going on waivers, anyways.
I'll have you know, I probably would have cleared waivers.
Hey, another neato fact that I learned today is that waiver deadline is now 2 p.m. Eastern instead of 12 p.m. So that's a new change for this upcoming season too. So
do you have any idea why?
I don't know the technical reason why. I just know that one of the guys I follow on Twitter, who is an absolute CBA wizard, took the time to point that out today. So I think that's
Maybe for the Western teams.
yeah, I think that's probably it. Maybe they decided that there's just a little too much Eastern favoritism now.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't talk about the guy on waivers yet.
Yeah, we should talk
yeah.
about the guy on waivers.
Yeah. So let's chat about Connor Ingram. I'd actually heard last week some rumors that the Oilers were at least discussing Connor Ingram, and clearly that's got to be true because it's come out today that he's going on waivers, and the Oilers are likely to pick him up. Now, what was the first comment? Was how did we know? Right. And I guess the question would be, I mean, every team would probably have an idea of where he wants to go, right? Which is close to home in Saskatchewan. Patrick, you probably reported on this today. Give us the details on what you know so far.
Well, yeah, there was a report. Fantastic Stats is the account on X there. They put out, per sources, the Oilers will be picking Connor Ingram off waivers later today. The 28-year-old starting goalie had a 907 and a 2.91 in his last full season with Arizona before getting injured in Utah in 2024-2025. So we were talking about this in the chat earlier today. Obviously, you can't know for certain that the Oilers are going to get him. I believe they're picking 24th was their spot there in the waiver order selection. So if a lot of other teams pass him over, there's obviously a chance there. He's a goalie that's been in the player assistance program, so he's just coming back. He didn't look as good last year in what we saw from him. Obviously, this is a guy that was good a couple of years ago, but if he comes back into some of that old form, it could be a fantastic pickup for the team. There's a lot of potential there, but obviously some risk. He's got 1 year left at $1.95 million on his deal. So as Lotsie pointed out in the chat earlier today, you can't quite bury him, but you can bury most of the cap hit if you want to. So I don't know. He's an interesting option for sure.
I don't think that the risk is really the issue, because like worst case they throw him back on waivers and either the Yotes pick him, or Utah picks him back up again, or and then shoves him in the AHL if he makes it that far, or he ends up with another team. So I think at the very least, if it comes as far as the Oilers, they should kick the tires on it and see what's there as far as goalies go. Like you said, he's just been cleared by the Players Association to return to play. He was dealing with some mental health stuff, from what I understand. And this isn't. I know some people will draw the conclusion that this is the same as the Jack Campbell situation, and I can't really disagree with that enough. Simply because Jack Campbell was a fresh $5 by $5 million signing right out of the gate, and ran into the mud basically immediately. This is a guy on the last year of as you said, a $1.95 million contract, who has going to have something to prove this year, to prove that he can continue to be a viable NHL goaltender. And I just think that little bit of competition is going to be something that hopefully motivates the existing two boys a little bit more. Not that they're not motivated, but I think just that extra competitive push is always something that can really help the team. And maybe we find something that is a small upgrade on what we have, and see how that plays out.
Go ahead, Lotsy.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with bringing him in from a hockey standpoint. I'm just thinking of it from a cap perspective. So let's say you want to bring him in. How do you fit him under the cap? Right now, the Oilers have $225,834 in cap space, according to Puckpedia, based on the roster that they have, which I think is going to be the actual roster come opening night, but we'll see. But hypothetically, let's say you want to put him through waivers and throw him in the AHL. So then you're carrying an $800,000 cap hit on top of that. So you basically have to send another player down just to carry his cap hit to have him play in the A. So of the guys that are on the main roster on Puckpedia right now, it's Ike Howard, Matt Savoy, and Tomaszek, David Tomaszek. Those guys are waivers exempt. Those are three guys I think they want to have on the roster. So I don't see any of them going down. So aside from that, you're risking losing a guy on waivers. And right now there's 14 forwards and 7D. Hyman's hurt, so it'll be 13 forwards and 7D. So regardless of which position you take from, you're going to be putting one position in a spot where there's no extras with the team. It's not an impossible thing to overcome, but it's a little limiting. You could, for the numbers, like you could put Hyman on LTIR, but he's coming back at this start of November approximately. So you got to figure that situation out for when he's healthy eventually. So, I mean, there's any number of guys you could risk losing if you wanted to. Just, I'm not sure how the organization views that risk, right? It's pros and cons. If they think having Ingram is worth more than having another, or pick whatever body you want to send down, then they might do it. But if not, then they won't.
I think we should keep in mind too, there will be other options later in training camp here. Random Mike's mentioning Washington goalie Clay Stevenson, but we also think guys like Nico Dawes could potentially end up there. I don't know what's going to happen with Michael DiPietro with Boston and stuff too. So just because if they don't claim Connor Ingram here, there is probably going to be other goaltender options to go after too. So something to keep in mind as well. And some of those guys are cheaper and easier cap hits to fit in.
So my thought on this is he's coming. Like if nobody picks him up, falls to the Oilers, he's coming. Just based on what I'd heard. I think, love him or hate him, or I mean, you can't hate Connor Ingram. Like I don't think you can anyway. I mean, you just don't know what you're getting, right? It's just deciding what the risk is. And, to your point, Ryan, like there's lots of, frankly, with the Oilers, there's always going to be cap implications, right? With whatever we do going forward. But this is an area of the, of the team that everybody, I'm surprised anybody would sort of sort of say like, don't do it. Like we've been screaming at the Oilers to do something in the in the net for a little while. Frankly, that's always easier said than done. And here's a guy that has had good seasons, or not seasons maybe, but he's had some good play, has the capability to do well. You get him on waivers. It's exactly a Stan Bowman type of play, isn't it? Am I wrong on that? The other option is somebody else picks him up on waivers and the Oilers know who that's going to be and a small trade comes. Right?
Yeah, I think that I've sort of been considering that. The only thing that I would be worried about is I guess that makes him waiver resistant for a period of time, right? If he clears waivers and then they trade, a seventh or some, B or C prospect for him or whatever, then he's got that 10-game 30-day exemption. I think that rides through the trade, but I'm not 100% certain. So they could call him up and send him down. I think you're right. I think it's a very Stan Bowman move. I think that I've talked to a couple of people who I consider to be goalie wizards, and both guys said that they felt that we should pick this guy up. High upside with a fairly manageable risk in terms of both contract, cap hit, all of those kinds of things. And I think that him being closer to home might be a good fit for him mentally, right? Like he's not unfamiliar with these markets in terms of what they demand. And if it's not something that works out for him, then we can always throw him back on waivers and see what happens.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what we should expect to happen in the next little while. I guess we'll know right away. by the time the world sees this podcast, they will know. They will know. All right. In the chat, we've got lots of people tuning in on YouTube. I think the crazy thing, maybe a change in the platform that we stream with, but we can't see any chats from X anymore. I don't know if that's going forward. That's too bad. We can't even see the numbers from X, so that's too bad as well. Let's move on. Let's move forward on this one. Did you guys talk Pod Colson?
We
did.
Mentioned
What did
it.
we
but
what did we talk
we didn't get
about
into
so
our
far?
thoughts. We didn't get into our
Yeah.
thoughts about the contract.
Yeah, we
but
just
we
mentioned it.
brought
Yeah.
him up.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's. We brought. You obviously talked about his dad. That's unfortunate. Quite sudden. Obviously, not unexpected. Was the day after his deal, right?
I'm not even sure if it was that long. Like, just unbelievable stuff, man. Talk about going from you finally made it. You signed your non-ELC deal with an NHL hockey team. You realized your dream, and then you get your legs kicked right out from under you. I mean, I can empathize. Trust me. That's that's some wild stuff, man. And life is kind of cruel sometimes.
Yeah. And crazy timing, everything. I mean, obviously it's never going to be a good time for news like that, but anyway, I mean, yeah, so he's got to go to Russia, obviously deal with that and take as much time as he needs. Who knows, right? Like this is not, we're not talking something minor in his life, so who knows how long he'll be gone for. Let's talk about the deal though. What are the exact terms of the deal, Patrick?
It's a 2.95 million AAV for 3 years, and I think $1 million of it was a signing bonus each year.
Okay. So anybody, you look at this deal, was what worked out to be like on average around 1.5% of the cap. Was that what it was?
Although it was higher than that. I think I had it at 2.7, a little over 2.7% for 2026-27. And a little like 2.5 in the second year, and we don't know where it'll be in year 3 yet.
Yeah. It's a good deal, right? For a guy that played.
It's going to keep getting better, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he played top
That-
6, right? Like most of the season.
That deal's going to be a lot better in year 3 than it is this upcoming season. And if he's right at that same spot that Holloway was, where he was just about ready to crack, at least that's what my take on him is. And if that happens, man, look out. That's going to be a killer contract.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Holloway's asking, I heard, for like around 6 plus.
Surprised to be that small.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the way things are going with the cap, and he put up 66 last year.
Yeah.
He's gonna get some money for sure.
Just thinking more like Vucinovic money for him, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, I heard. I think it was Friedman said 6.5 roughly or something like that.
Speaking of Friedman,
yeah, go ahead.
well, I mean, Friedman had that post today that we might be surprised, or well, on 32 Thoughts, that we might be surprised by the AAV of the Connor contract. Every bit of noise I'm hearing says McDavid's re-signing with Edmonton. If Bob Stauffer says 102%, it's 102%, and you pretty much can take that to the bank. He's said that for months now, and I don't see that. I don't see any motivation for Connor to leave this team. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons why he's got to sign. Like, he'll sign, right? I'm with you. I mean, at 102%, 110%, whatever it is, like, it's, like, I just can't. The only question for me is it 2 years or is it 4 years? And like, I just can't see it. I'd be surprised if there was anything more than 4 years on that contract. It just wouldn't make sense for Connor, and he's the one that's writing it, right? But yeah, Friedman, I did hear Friedman say, like, he thinks it'll be less than we think it is. Yeah.
If he signs for Leon Draisaitl money or anything less than 15.5 million, the fans should be like committing a new statue to the front of the stadium basically immediately. And a whole bunch of people owe our captain an apology. It's a tweet I made earlier for sure, but like just the hate that he's riled up just because he's taking his time to make a decision. I suspect there's external forces that are causing that delay for a few reasons. I've had some things suggested to me that might be plausible, I guess. So I think that, if we saw the 3 to 4 year at, $15.5 million or even less potentially, that would be a real statement from him about how serious he is about winning here. And, that kind of gives the middle finger to the PA a little bit, I guess, and to some other guys that are waiting to sign big contracts. But that'll be a very clear statement that he is here to win, and for that the money's kind of second to that.
I mean, is that what he's waiting for? Maybe the Oilers know, right? Like, maybe the Oilers know he's willing to take less, and he's basically said, what are you going to do with it? Right? Like, the comfort level with, while it's not going to be like life-changing money on the Oilers salary cap, it will be enough for them to do something.
Next year is going to be wild, boys. Like, the way the cap shapes up for 26-27, it is going to be a roller coaster of a summer. If it wasn't Bowman's team before, you wait. That next year is going to be something else.
So Random Mike said Friedman put out 15.5 mil. I hadn't heard an actual figure. I just heard the expectation was it might be lower than expected.
Yeah, I think that was just a guess he mentioned on 32 Thoughts. Was
Yeah.
15.5.
Like I said,
We're
sorry,
gonna
go ahead.
like any. Yeah, sorry. We're gonna like any number that comes in low, obviously, as fans, right? But I actually think that if it's the number's that low, it's going to be a short-term deal, and that's the most player-friendly option. Right. So I don't think we need to be building statues for McDavid if he chooses to go that route.
Wow.
I don't think there's any chance that it's 15.5 on a 3 or a 4 year deal. Because his last contract was 8 years at 12.5. It was 15.72% of the cap in year one. And if you extrapolate that over to this year, it's like 16.34. I have it in a different article. I was just trying to find it, but I couldn't pull it up in time. But it's low 16s. It's like for him to go 15.5 for any length, he's kind of taking a pay cut in that sense from a cap percentage perspective. I don't think he's doing that for a very long term if he's doing that at all. Right. I think the more term you get, the more expensive it's going to be. So if it's a lower number than we're expecting, it's a shorter term than we're expecting.
Yeah, I mean, to me though, there's no doubt it's not going to be long term, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't see that, and I don't view it in the same light that you do, that it's player friendly. I think it's just makes sense, like from a Connor McDavid standpoint. At the first, when we started talking about it, initially the hope was 8 years, and I thought, I think I even said in the group chat he's going to sign for 6 or more, because his buddy Leon's here. They're opening restaurants. They're doing, the McDavids are, committed to Edmonton. Hyman's still here for another few years, right? Like he's got real roots in Edmonton with both the team and everything else. But then the more, we talked about it, and the more you sort of looked at it and you knew about the cap, it just doesn't make sense for him to go long term. And that's fine. Like I mean, if he goes 2 years, he goes 2 years. The Oilers are, they might need that. They might need him to go low so that they can do something. And frankly, I've said this, you don't agree with me, Ryan, but I think like I'd be happy if the Oilers win the cup, put everything all in, win the cup, and then I don't care if they win it for another 10 years. I just want them to win a cup. Right? Like, before the next 10 years in the Connor McDavid era. And if he only signs for 2 more years and they win a cup, good, right? Like hopefully he comes back, but as long as he's got that cup, that's what I care about, right?
I mean, we're in agreement that we want to win the cup. Obviously, I think
Yeah,
our
that part I know
strategies
we
are
agree on.
different. But I just had a good thought and then I lost it.
I've heard a couple rumors too that it could be a deferred money deal. If they get it done quick, there's still some time left on the deferred money deadline. I'm not sure, like it's not the magic bullet that it is in baseball, but it's certainly a possibility that they could use to lower that impact.
That was something I looked at in one article I did recently, and like looking at the Seth Jarvis deal as a comparison, they had to defer $15 million to save $400K on the cap.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of money for not very much savings yearly. So if you're looking at what that might look like on a McDavid deal, you'd have to defer a ton. And like I don't know what the limit is or if there's a limit on how much you can defer, but there's a big risk for McDavid in that because that money isn't necessarily guaranteed. Things could happen. Odds are he would get it eventually, but there's a risk there. And the present value of dollars is higher today than it is 10 years from now, or however long it is until he gets that money. So there's risk for him there too. So that would probably be a super team friendly deal if he was to do that. But if you look at his previous contract, a very significant percentage of it was signing bonuses, which are paid up front every year. That's quite the opposite of deferred salaries. I don't see him swapping his mentality like that for the minimal amount of cap savings the team would get and the amount of risk he would have to take.
I really wish structured deals were a thing in the NHL where you could sign a 4-year deal and you say these 2 years at this AAV and this as long as it's all like booked up front so that there's not like no take backsies on it. But I think that especially for young players that allowing that ramp would allow some more term, especially if you have foresight into the cap situation for the upcoming 2 or 3 years. It sounds like it's going to go absolutely mental, and we're going to see some crazy stuff in terms of cost.
What do you guys? I hadn't considered this, but Quaddy brings up something, which is what if it's a McDavid delay because he doesn't want to cap the other players like Kaprizov and Eichel, and he's kind of waiting it out so they can get their money, and then he comes in and goes, he's not setting the market too low.
Yeah, well, what's weird is Kaprizov, noping out of an 8x16, right? I'm not even sure McDavid would take that money if he was on, a dumpster team, right? Like, I don't know. Like that's an insane amount of bucks. He's worth it, but Toronto has seen exactly what happens when you have too much cap in too few positions. So, and we're rapidly entering that same territory. We got Bouchard, Nurse, Leon, and Connor, and those collective guys together make almost $50 million. Like, it's kind of tough.
It is tough. But from Kaprizov's perspective, if he was to lock in 2 years from now at that same, I'm just going to use a round number. I realize the cap's not going to be exactly 100 million next season, but let's just pretend because from my mental math ability, don't make everyone's lives easier. But let's say it's 16 million at 100 of 100, 16%. Okay, so let's just say his value is at 16% of the cap. If he waits 2 more years to get 16% of 113, well, that's obviously more money. And it's like that's why long-term deals are more expensive, especially right now, because as the cap is rising, right? Those players want to take advantage of that. If they lock in now, they're not getting that opportunity. So you look at these superstars that are potentially looking at locking in long-term right now, they're seeing big dollar signs going like, well, hey, if I'm worth this percentage of the cap, why am I locking in at this rate now and missing out on that money later? So if they want to do it, it's going to cost the team more money to do it now. And there's going to be some short-term pain because they have to pay a really significant percentage on the first year's cap or the second year's cap. Right. And I don't know that teams really want to do that. So I think part of what's happening is players probably have an ask of what they think they're worth or what they can get in a couple of years. But GMs probably don't want to go that high yet. So I actually think it's kind of the other way, Michael. It's not so much about McDavid not wanting to screw the other players over. I think it's the GMs waiting to see what McDavid does so they can have a more fair sense of what their players are actually worth compared to McDavid.
I 100%. I mean, in my mind, that's a bit of a standoff, right? Like, I think everybody's waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yeah, there's a domino that's got to fall somewhere, and I don't know what's going to happen first, but I think it's going to be McDavid.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's just the GMs and the players on all the other teams standing, watching us, like, not even like arguing with each other, just sitting waiting for what happens here, because sure doesn't make sense that those other deals aren't done. But that's the only, sort of plausible explanation. Nick Kyprios, apparently, while we have been on the podcast, says, I've heard the Oilers are kicking tires as well, possibly on the thought of Connor Ingram. So kind of stating the obvious, but it sounds like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And we may have a new goalie tomorrow if things go our way.
You know where he heard it, right? Big fan.
Yeah.
He's a big fan. Thanks, Kipper.
One of my thoughts on that was if it's a situation where the player has stated that he wants to be closer to home, like he's just coming out of the player's assistance program, dealing with some mental health issues, the agent has probably been talking to team. Like I know they were trying to trade him, right? I don't think they were able to find a taker for him, and part of that may have been asking price, but a lot of it is probably player preference. If he's got one or two teams that he's willing to play for, that makes things a little more difficult, and that allows people like the Kyprios and the Finn. I don't. Sorry, I'm gonna butcher the account name, but for that tweet to come out today, they might have some intel, and I think they're connected to some agents or former agents that might be in the know. So like there might be an agreement in place already going into the waivers process that teams know that they're not going to get Ingram, like he might not even show if they claim him. So that would make it easy for the Oilers to get him at 24. This is just me speculating, putting some dots together. Like I have no inside info, but we could very well hear something along those lines later on.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the Carolina Hurricanes might take a swing at him, and they're 23rd in the pecking order, and we're 24th. So, we'll see what happens. I don't know. At the same time, how many goaltenders does Carolina need? Like,
Well, weren't they
They're
going
in
to
the
sign
mix
Carter
on,
Hart?
yeah, they're in the
They're
mix
trying
on
to sign Carter Hart.
Carter Hart's going to Vegas. You can bet money
Oh, is he
Carter
Vegas?
Hart's going to Vegas. If there's a dickish thing that Vegas can do, they're probably going to do it. They're the American version of us. So,
One, I don't know if you saw the story from Mark Lazarus today, but he was
That's
actually
wild.
he was removed from Vegas's, like they revoked his press pass because he was there. He went to Carolina to talk to some people about the idea of Hart and McLeod signing there. And then he went to Vegas to get some ideas on the potential of Hart signing there, and they revoked his press pass for
That
that
is
game.
such a mad overstep, like such an overstep. I get that it's completely within their realm to do that, but it's just such a bad look for the team, just in terms of like PR posture. I don't get it. I feel like that's kind of a wild overreaction on their part.
Wow.
I think so too, but part of it could be tampering allegations, right? Like if we're talking about a player that isn't signed. So like I don't know that is kosher to be talking about a specific player that's not a part of your organization. But I mean, from an optics perspective, yeah, like I totally agree with you. Like that looks awful on Vegas.
Well, I understand that. I know a lot of people said that the Oilers should pick him up, but it doesn't sound like there is much interest from either party, from what I've heard. There might have been some from Carter's point of view, but I just think Bowman can't afford to have that look, and McDavid and Leon don't want the distraction that's going to come with that. However good he may be as a goalie, there's just too much controversy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Oilers have never shied away from that. That's for sure. But, I mean, when in this market, the Oilers are in on everyone. And so when they're actually not listed as being in on somebody, I believe that. Right? Like it's like, there's the default is, yeah, the Oilers have been talking about, Mitch Marner or, whoever, right? Like
Nico Rantanen.
yeah, Rantanen, right? Like that's always the default is the Oilers are in on it. And that's not what we've heard. So I'm gonna go with that he's not. There's no chance. But you're probably right on Vegas, and the Lazarus thing probably points a little bit closer to that than
If they wanted to confirm rumors, that's one way they could go about doing it. Because if it was a nothing burger to you guys, why would you go through the PR drama, right? Like, just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, I'm still kind of like 10 minutes behind you because I don't know everything you talked about. We started talking about camp yet? Did we talk about Seattle and the Oilers? Did we talk about? Well, I think I'd heard a little bit about that. We talked about the that game. Camp standouts.
Yeah, we talked
Anybody?
a little bit about Atraleppinen mostly.
Leppinen?
So we talked about him mostly. We didn't talk
Sweet
about the game
playmaker.
last night.
Hey?
He
Yeah.
is like
Holy
he's super
shit, man.
super silky, super smooth.
There is some, like, we did talk about this, but I'll bring it up again. There is some real decision making stuff that he's got to work on. Just the speed of the game is coming at him faster than he's prepared for. But holy shit, can that guy handle the puck? And like just cool as a cucumber in the corners and making, clever little flick passes and stuff to get himself out of trouble. I think that guy's going to make the team at some point. He is waivers exempt. It may not be this year, but I am very little doubt if he continues to develop on that path that he's going to be an NHL player and probably have a healthy NHL career to go with it.
Yeah, he's been something else. Anybody you guys are
I'm a stranger, man. Are you? I know you're trolling me right now, right, bud? Like, just nothing to see here, buddy. Just like split the net in two, basically, and did his best Leon Draisaitl impression. And this is what you're throwing at us? Come on.
So for those listening in on Twitter or otherwise, the comment is Howard doesn't have a good shot. Are we talking about making the team, or are we talking about his shot, or are we talking about both?
I still think he might get a little bit of an NHL run, but I'm not sure how long it's going to be for. I think that from what I've seen of Ike, he still has some time to spend in the AHL to develop his defensive side a bit more and just general like awareness of the game at this level. But there's no doubt in my mind that he has a crazy shot. That shot the other day was even up there with some of Leon's very best. It was just wired and from a spot that a lot of guys really can't score from, right? Like, you get Bouchard the puck and he'll score from there a handful of times, but it's certainly not a regular feature of most dudes in the league.
There we go. Some stranger says typo. Typo. He was trolling you. Go figure.
Mr. Game 7, Mr.
Yeah.
Cody Cece.
I mean, look, I think you have to give Howard a little bit of a shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's probably what was promised to him as part of his deal, right? Like, we know we saw Quinn Hudson last year. I think that was also part of the deal, that he was going to get NHL time right away, just as a goodwill gesture and get his feet wet and give him a taste. And it was in the nothing burger games of the end of last season. So I actually have liked quite a bit what I've seen from Quinn Hudson. I know there's a couple other analysts around that really like him too, and I think that he's eventually going to end up on the big squad as well. It's just some development cycles yet for him.
Yeah, and look, like, we do this every year. We got guys that scored 20 goals in preseason, and as fans, we want them in the lineup right now. And we got guys that don't perform well in preseason. I mean, how did McDavid and Draisaitl do last night? Right? Like, it's nothing, right? Like, it's you can't, the coaches are looking for something different, and Knobloch came out and said it. Like, look, we've got an idea of what we want, right? Like, we're not looking for necessarily for who puts up the most points, but we're looking for guys that can play within our system, right? And it's a lot for these players to come in and just immediately perform on a new team, and whether it's preseason or otherwise. I mean, that's what we're judging camp off of, but there's a lot of other things happening, right? Like, there's constant practices, there's constant things going on all the time. They're seeing things we're not seeing on the regular. And we know that Howard can bring that game, right? Like the guy's a gamer, right? Dash said it's the Iceman, right? Like, you don't get that name for nothing, right? Like he'll come and play 3, 4, 5 games maybe and see how he works out. And I think you can book it. Like there's no doubt in my mind he'll play, a few games and if he's good, then he stays, right? If he struggles, he takes a turn in Bakersfield.
What I'm hopeful of is that we're not going to see like from, October to December or early January, that we're not going to see this over reliance on the vets to get through the season. I don't think it's necessary. I think they should use that time to, they start getting in trouble with points. Sure, you can pour the gas on the fire a little bit, but otherwise, I think you run with your youth, get them some real minutes in this league. There's more than enough talent in this roster to win games just off talent alone. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be playing the kids and getting them some real ice time with some of our better players to, let them develop in on the big sheet and get them that experience that's crucial when it comes to playoff hockey.
Well, that's
Patrick,
something Connor really wants too, right? He wants to see the future coming through right here. So if they want to see the future progress, they got to let these guys play and see what they have coming, right? So they relied too much on veterans last year. Yeah.
Not on 6 minutes a night. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. I don't see a point in playing him 6 minutes a night either. Like I can kind of respect Knobloch's thought about it's gonna take him a minute to get used to all the travel, playing harder games against grown-ups in the NHL. Like it's a grind. So like you ease him into it from a ice time perspective. And you can always it looks better if you elevate them at some point than if you start them at the top and bring them back down once they start slipping. Like I kind of get that, but I'm with you guys too. I think Matthew Savoy is a top 6 winger or a top 6 forward on this team in terms of talent, and I think he's got good chemistry with Leon. I personally really like the line of Podkolzin and Leon and Savoy. If that's your second line, I think that allows you to have a really good third line, get some scoring spread out throughout the lineup, and I think you'll still get some production there. But I've never believed in strapping young, talented players into checking roles where that's just not who they are and that's not where they're going to find success. I've never believed in that. And in a situation like this where you got McDavid trying to see what we've got here before making a decision on a contract, as Patrick kind of alluded to, I think you got to put them out there and see what they got.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that's an obvious way to go, right, for this team. And we put a lot of stock where as fans in watching these preseason games, which if the end of the season means nothing, so does preseason, right? And there's 20 preseason games and half of them are split, and the veterans hate playing them, right? Like and 90% of the time that's obvious, right?
Yeah, for a guy like Ike Howard, though, like where this is his first time against professionals, I think you can kind of see that a little bit. Like I'm kind of with you on that, Kevin. Like I still think there's some development that needs to happen away from the puck, specifically, even in the offensive zone. Like the last game he played, yes, he scored the nice goal. He had a couple other nice offensive plays. Throughout camp, he's made a few nice passes. Like he's a better playmaker than I was expecting. But just away from the puck, like I'm not seeing enough intensity in the forecheck. He's not moving his feet enough in that area for me. I don't think he's just quite finding the right spots in the offensive zone away from the puck. Defensively, I think there's been a couple good plays, but there's been some spots where it's clear he needs a little bit of work too. So you got 9 games before you use up a year of his ELC. So I think he starts the year on the team, especially if Hyman's an LTIR and performance bonus issues come into play too. So I think he starts the year on the team. How long he lasts, we'll see.
Good point. Good point. We'll see.
Speaking of roster construction, I have 2 questions, and that is, where does Matthias Janmark fit on this roster? And I think I know the answer to this question already.
I know where you
Yeah.
want to.
No, it's
Bakersfield.
not a me thing. It's the positioning that I'm seeing from the team. I've noticed what they're doing with special teams doesn't really involve a lot of Janmark outside of a B role, and yeah, I have a feeling that we may not see Matthias Janmark on the opening right roster, and we'll see if I'm wrong on that front. And the other question I have is, where does Adam Henrique fit into this roster?
I'll tell you one thing about Henrique before we answer that question. He looked like he had some wheels the other night. Like
When you're fighting for your job, I mean,
Yeah.
that's not really surprising, is it?
yeah, I mean, that might be it, right? Like
Well, it's preseason, Michael. We can't put too much stock into it.
I know, yeah, 100%. Good point. Good point. I had to like double check the number. I'm like, who's that guy like skating like that? You know, I'm like, does that? Wait a second, I know that number. I know 19. I know that number. Henrique, and Janmark. Those are. I'd be with you in terms of Janmark not starting the season.
Bet you they bury him, and nobody's going to take that. It's going to be the same as the Josh Brown thing, although with a considerably better hockey player. He has a contract that most teams are not going to touch just because it's got term on it, right? So I don't think Janmark's going to love that too much, but and I again, nothing against Janmark. I like him just fine as a player. There's lots of stuff he does right. Zone entries are phenomenal. I think he does a lot of clever things in his game. He just doesn't get a lot done on the score sheet. And I think they're looking to limit the number of players like that on the roster this year.
And they did that to him in his first year with the Oilers, if I remember correctly, as well.
Yeah.
So it's not as if he hasn't had that happen to him before. I mean, yeah, you're kind of right. There's lots of guys that Knobloch is listed as penalty killers. Savoy is one. Savoy. I've used both in this podcast. Not sure which is right. He even mentioned Mangiapane as a potential PK guy, and I was looking into it, and he's only had 1 year in his career where he had like 100 minutes on PK. He had 12 minutes on the PK last year. It's like he's not usually a PK guy, but they might try to turn him into one. Frederick and PK, Kapanen and Putt Coles and like Nuge, Hyman can do it. They've got McDavid and Leon doing it now too. Like they got lots to get Henrique. Like there's lots of guys that can kill. So it's not as if he's got that niche specialty role that only he has now. And you got a good point about his contract being a little scary for teams looking at him on waivers. And if they were to put a claim in on Ingram, he is a prime candidate to be waived.
That's where that money's coming from.
That's where that money is likely coming from. Those dots make some sense.
So was everybody think Janmark's on the opening day roster, like or not on the opening day roster?
I think Janmark is about number 14 on the list right now. If I had to make mostly an educated guess with some hints, yeah, I think that's likely. Again, it's nothing against Janmark. He's a workhorse. It's just I think this team has other players they want to try and get some experience on. And I guess in fairness, if Hyman's out for any sort of term, there's more likelihood that Janmark will stick around. But they have to make some choices here, and they have some players that, if they start the season with a a younger and less experienced roster, that's really not the end of the world.
Although, it would be nice for the Oilers to come out hot for a change.
I mean, you could argue that it's imperative that they get a hot start here to keep the room in a positive frame of mind, especially if Connor hasn't signed yet, right? Like if things go into a tailspin early, that's not a promising situation. It may not end up meaning anything at all, but it's better to have the good start than to not. No.
No, this team needs a good start, especially after the last couple of years. They got something to prove here.
Got their last coach fired because of their shitty start 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's
Yep.
it's a pretty extreme example of a bad start.
What do you guys think about, and this kind of changing gears a little bit, but things like Draisaitl talking about, the Selke and like this sort of idea that, McDavid's talking about scoring more goals, something 2 years ago they seemingly did, like, I don't know. I mean, it was just kind of, we thought that they kind of decided to do something right and then went out and did it. You think that's like, these are these two guys realizing like they can do what they want to do, and this upcoming year is going to be like a statement year for them in terms of putting their mark on the game and just saying like, this is, we decide. We're tired of others deciding what, we're gonna, Connor McDavid's gonna win the scoring race this year, right? Like, is that, you think that mentality is there this year?
I think that's part of it. The other thing I think is that Leon had, in my opinion, his most complete season of hockey last year. It may not have been, perfect in every regard, but he was a true 200-foot player last year in a way that we've never really seen before. Some stranger points out here in the chat, talk is one thing. I agree, but in the past the boys have also put talk into action. This is not the first time that they've said I'm going to do X and then done exactly X. I think it's also fair to say that there's pretty substantial evidence that Connor had some kind of debilitating injury from a shooting point of view the past couple of years. I don't know that for certain, but his shot velocity was down, his shot frequency was down. He struggled shooting the puck, and it was more trick shots and dangles for him. And I think that's probably, I'm hoping that that's now resolved itself through, rehab and whatnot. And he's back in a position that he feels comfortable shooting again.
I mean, it felt like the 1 year he was going to score at will, like just when he decided, right? Like, and I think, like, I feel like he can do it again, right? Like, I think you're right. Like, there's something going on, that changed that. And, yeah, I think expect great things from Connor in terms of goal scoring this year. And just expect 50 from Leon because that's what he does. Yeah.
I think like Connor's always been kind of playmaking first, goal scoring second. That's just kind of the way his mentality's been. I think he really had to change his mindset to get to 64 the year he scored that. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, if he wants to do it, he can do it. He's talented enough to do anything. I just think it's a bit of a mental switch he has to turn on. He has to like think about playing that way. Where I think his first instinct is to pass more often than not.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And on Leon too, like sixth in Selke Trophy voting last year. I think he's talked about the defensive side of the game before as being something he's really wanted to improve on, and his getting up to sixth in the Selke voting list is evidence of that. And him elevating the goal, raising the goal, saying that he wants to be in the Selke conversation or win the Selke this year, right? So you can see he's goal oriented, which is good. He's focused on that side of the game. He's grown, but he realizes there's still another step he can take, and I think he can take it, and I think he will.
Here's the other thing, though. I think had Draisaitl said at the beginning of last year, "I'm out to win the Selke," I actually think he would have got more votes. Like, because I think that was the thing, is people weren't looking at Draisaitl as being a Selke candidate, despite the season that he had, right? You know, and I think had he said, "Look, I want to be a Selke candidate," people would have like recognized that as the season progressed. Maybe some of the Eastern folks would have stayed up late enough to watch, right?
Yeah, and I mean, Barkov's injury, I don't know if you saw that he went down today. I don't know what the extent of it is, but if he's out any length of time, he's always a big Selke candidate. So that would be one man kind of down if it's a serious injury. But Anze Kopitar in his last year of professional hockey could end up winning it right now. That'd be a preseason prediction I'd be willing to make, just because that they might as well rename it the Kopitar Trophy at this point. These guys won it so many times, and I could see him doing it one more time too. So Leon would have some competition for sure. But
Rumor
he'd
has
get
it.
his name.
Rumor has it was an ACL for Barkov.
Yeah, that's what they
and
fear.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's been confirmed yet.
Yeah.
I want to highlight that tweet from Random Mike there.
Random
Comment.
Mike. Is it? It's in the comment.
Yeah.
This one, or am I in the wrong one?
No, that's definitely the right one.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not shocked by this. In fact, I will not be surprised if Hyman, as dark as this is, never completely returns to form. I've heard that it was ugly, and just the rehab on dislocated wrists is just ugly stuff, man. I don't think Kyprios is making anything up here. I think the fact that they're already sandbagging it, saying, well, we'll see him November 1st or whatever, maybe, I think that's probably even generous at this point. So I think there's a good chance we're going to spend a decent percentage of the season without Hyman, and then I think we should also be expecting the Evander Kane effect, if that makes sense, when he returns, which is not quite to full form just because of how severe this injury was.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but I mean, anytime guy comes back from injury, and especially like the length of time that he's away, is clearly, I mean, if it were Connor, he would have been back 2 weeks ago, but Hyman, like, it's a big deal, right? Like, if they're talking early November, I mean, that's a lot of time for rehab for a guy that's is putting in the effort to come back as soon as possible, right? It's crazy. But I hadn't heard that. I didn't hear about Kyprios talking about that. All right. What's left on our agenda here, guys? We got standouts, Bud Colson deal, McDavid signing. We were talking a little bit about who hasn't signed in the league yet. We got Kaprizov, Eichel, Panarin. Who else is left in that list?
There's some
Kyle
names.
Connor,
Kyle Connor, Adrian Kempe, and Martin Nikash were kind of the big ones. Nikash situations.
I think he's going to get traded. It's got the same vibe as Rantanen all over again, right? Like, I don't know what it is about that locker room that's just not for some guys apparently, but for whatever reason he didn't really like the fit there is sort of the vibe that I've gotten from it.
I think he's another guy that's ask is through the roof, and Colorado just doesn't want to go there, right? Like, in retrospect, they should have just went there with Rantanen because he's a better player than what Nikash is. And yeah, now they find themselves in the same situation again. And as the more times you go through this scenario where you're trading the best player in the deal, the more the more you're losing, right? Like the assets that come in start getting weaker and weaker. So it's a tough situation for them. But yeah, it sounds like a trade at some point this season is likely with Nikash. And it sounds like Kempe and Connor, both of them have desire to stay with their current teams, but just comes down to number, right? Elliot Friedman was kind of speculating that Connor could end up being the second highest paid player in the league by the time it's all said and done. Even if it's a short-term deal and then he signs another one, like he was speculating that just because of where the cap's going and the timing of everything, and the fact that he's in Winnipeg, it's high taxes. It could end up being a very high AAV for Connor.
I mean, the guy deserves it, though. Honestly, right? Like
he's unbelievable.
He's been so freaking good, you know.
But he's not on the same echelon as like Kaprizov and Eichel and McDavid, right? So like to hear his name ranked second,
like close. Like he's in a close tier. That's the thing, and he's been outstanding year over year over year. In and it's not. I don't think it's easy playing in Winnipeg. Much like I don't think it's easy playing in Edmonton. Like travel, all of the things considered, right? And he just keeps coming out and doing what Kyle Connor does. He deserves more money. He deserves to get paid more than Darnell Nurse. Let's put it that way.
He'll get some money. Yeah. What, second in the league?
They've had a deal on him, right? Like they've had a deal on him so far. In my mind, at some 100% at some point, and if you're Winnipeg, it's not like guys are clamoring to get there. So like if you're Kyle Connor, you're saying, look, like I've been here, I've been a good soldier. Now's the time. Give me some of my money. Talk about another player, but we're gonna bring it back home. Wallman.
Sounds like they're everything I've heard is that deal is nearly done. It sounds like it's going to be based on some numbers that have been thrown around. The 6 year, 6.5 to 7.25 million kind of range. AFP Analytics has his worth at the end of last season at 6.5 million, or 6.3% of the cap hit for 5 years. And given the current cap situation, I will not be surprised to see the Oilers exceed that number slightly for term. Doesn't sound like it's going to be that much of an uplift to get some term out of it. So I think they should just do it. I really liked what I saw out of Wallman. Only concern is that he'll be 36 when that deal expires. So he'll be getting to the end of his career at that point.
But probably by that point, a player like him will be making around $6 million anyway. So
yeah. Well, by that point, Vinny Desharnais will be making $6 million, right?
Yeah. Are we re-signing? What's going on?
I don't know. If we need a number 7, I wouldn't hate it, but I think he's probably done here.
What happened to Costin?
I think
nothing yet.
Yeah, nothing. I think he wanted to come here and expressed interest, but I don't think the Oilers.
I think the Bud Colson deal killed that, though, right? Like until the Oilers knew.
Oh, they've got no cap space to work with. We got an excess of forwards here already, right? Like we got 14 on the Puckpedia roster right now, and we think there's some other ones that could easily play their way onto the team in some people's opinions. And so adding another guy into the mix, even if it's on a PTO, like why? Right? We don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason you're adding PTOs right now is to get veteran players reps, during preseason. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Or if like you got a body count issue during camp or something, right? Like I don't see a reason to bring Costin in right now. Like, yeah, it'd be a fun story, but I just don't see it.
Well, he did well in this environment on the ice. I'm not sure how things went off the ice based on some stuff that was floating around here a few weeks ago, and before that, to be honest with you. So I just don't know if there was a lot of interest from the team. The Oilers had made an offer to him too, and he decided to take his agent's advice for signing for more money for, um, with Detroit, and I guess they made their decision, right? I think that ship has kind of sailed for Costin, unfortunately.
Yeah.
well,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, you saw how quickly he got blacklisted on 2 different organizations, and I heard there was locker room issues and stuff with him here. So he was loved on the ice for sure, but I don't think he fits off the ice is the problem.
He missed out. He could have signed here. Could have stayed.
So could Vinny, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity for Vinny to stay for a minute, from what I understand. So his agent told him to take more money, and well, that's his right. But I like
More money, more problems.
Yeah, well, more expectations, and see how that's, we have a few contracts in our history that are excellent examples of that.
Yeah.
Some stranger says, "What about Ekholm?" Yes, what about Ekholm? Last I heard, Ekholm was talking about a renewal. I think at some point we're going to have to see some movement somewhere. I don't think it'll be Ekholm. I would really like to see Ekholm sign for a little bit less money for a year or two at a time until he decides he's done with professional play, and then hopefully he'll join. I'm really hopeful that because his wife and him like it so much here, that he'll join the team in a development or coaching capacity, because he is a really, really clever player. And I think he's a great fit for both the organization and the region. And I think that that's kind of a rare combination.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue that. My biggest concern is not, whether they sign him or not, because I think they will. But what player do we get this year, right?
I really liked what I've seen in the preseason so far. He's moving pretty well considering how significant his injury was at the end of the year. I don't know if that'll hold up all year, but maybe that's where having some, some atrolepinins and whatever in the roster lets you rest a guy a little bit more and keep him fresh. That might be something that I could see them doing.
Yeah. And
That's my
like
thing.
Emberson needs to take a jump, right? Like,
Yeah.
What
did we sign him for 2 or 3?
2.
2
Was it
at
3?
1.3.
3,
Was it
but
3?
3, but we got
2 years at 2 years at 1.3. I don't think they would have committed that to him if they didn't want to play him and see him develop.
Yeah, but he's got to take a step, right? Like he's got to, and there's competition for him, right? So that's great. He's got no choice.
I think Nurse has to have kind of a big year too, because his clause changes next season to, I think, modified no trade. I'm not 100% certain without looking it up, but I don't see the Oilers moving on from him, but I see him potentially being a little bit more motivated.
2 years away from the modified no
trade. Is it 2 years?
Yeah.
2 years? I thought it was 26, 27. Oh, well.
But yeah, I mean, just for Nurse's sake, like have a good season, right? Like, get the fans behind you, and hopefully they're not blaming him for everything. I back to what Ryan's talking about, like at least starting a season well for a change, right? Like, I think that makes a whole lot of difference, in the building, around the locker room, everything, and I don't buy into the I don't know, we've talked about it. I'm kind of curious. I don't buy into Connor signing or not signing by season start as really affecting anything. I think, especially if there's other players going into the season without having signed, we'll see. Though just for my own benefit, as a fan, I hope he signs prior to the season start. But
I'd like to stop making videos about it. So if he could sign, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's write a letter, write an open letter. Those work. Open letter is a good strategy.
Yeah. Like my trepidation on Ekholm is just the injury thing. It's a torn adductor at 35 years old. So yeah, he's moving okay now with fresh legs after having been off for a couple months. But how long does it last? And from a contractual perspective, how wise is it to commit any kind of term to someone in this situation? Right. So like I'm kind of a little bit worried about that. I think that there's a good chance that mobility becomes an issue throughout the season, and to the point where we might have to think about rejigging the pairs a little bit to get Ekholm away from Bouchard and to get him away from top competition. So that's my concern. So we'll see if I'm right on that or not. But there's also the other side of it of there's three defensemen signed beyond next season, I believe, or signed through next season. That's Nurse, Bouchard, Emberson, right? So after next season, there's only Nurse and Bouchard. So hopefully we can get Wallman extended. That would put that D group into a little more focus going forward, but Ekholm might play a role in that too. So if you can get that top four solidified, I think that answers some questions for McDavid before he signs his contract. But the other side of it is, as Ekholm said earlier, they take care of the big boys first. So which domino falls first? Do they answer some questions about the future decor for McDavid, or do they take care of McDavid first and let Ekholm wait? I'm not sure how that'll play out, but I think Wallman gets done quickly, as I think there's smoke there, so I think that gets done quickly. I'm not so sure about Ekholm right now, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary when you think there's $20 million locked up on 2D in the way that it is locked up. But the Wallman contract will have such a say in what happens there too, right? Like,
Yeah,
he's a big piece.
Yeah.
No, he's part of the future. There's no doubt. And I'm expecting that it's going to be Wallman Bouchard at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Like that. Those guys seem to vibe together from the limited play that I've seen from them.
I think Wallman's well-rounded enough that he'll fit with most guys. Like kind of like Ekholm. Like, yeah, they're a little different stylistically. Wallman's a little more adventurous in the offensive zone, a little more mobile that way. Ekholm will jump. He's smart. He knows when to go in. He scores some goals from down low. But Wallman's maybe a little more apt to roaming up there. But I mean, Wallman defends really well, moves the puck smartly. That's like good all-around player, I think, whose skill sets fit with a lot of different guys. So, and he can play both sides too, right? So, I mean, yeah, I think Wallman getting done is huge going forward. But yeah, this season, I think Wallman would be the guy to go up with with Bouchard if Ekholm was to slip or get injured or have anything happen.
The one thing that that's worth pointing out is there was some talk of him wanting to stay on whatever side he starts the season on. So if they play him with Nurse and on the right, then he wants to stay on the right. And I think I understand why, because all of your habits and routines as a defenseman. I don't really like playing shuffle deck with defensive pairings, especially when you're moving guys laterally between left and right. I think it's just asking for some more problems than it's worth. And I understand why they did it last year, because they were in a bit of a pinch, but I honestly think that they have a bit of a deeper defensive core than they ended the season with, and I think that's saying something, because it was pretty damn deep at the end of the playoffs, minus the injuries.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it just depends on how much value you put on Klingberg and how much you like Leppinen at this point for organizational depth, right? Um, yeah, that's a whole other debate. But yeah, I mean, it's a team.
Regula's there coming too.
Regula, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard the team really likes him, so I'm hopeful that we'll see how that shapes up. But there's good possibility that was a pretty good pick by the team from waivers, even if it costs them a little bit of salary.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's a decent chance he sneaks through waivers just because he hasn't played hockey in a year, right? Like whatever he's doing in the preseason is his first hockey in a long time. So I think there's a decent chance he slips through waivers. I don't see him on the roster to start, but if he can get a big role in the AHL and have a big year doing that, really bodes well for him and the team.
Who in the Oilers D in the is it Emberson that's most at risk right now? Like
think it's
losing a
Stetcher.
spot?
I think it's Stetcher. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Stetcher or Emberson. Yeah.
I
Contractually,
think-
I would say Emberson is in a better spot, but Stetcher had a better playoffs, and you know what you're getting with Stetcher. So there's an argument to be made for either guy. But I think those are your 6 and 7, regardless of where you want to put them. They're 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Leppinen is waivers exempt, so there's that going. I think that I don't think Emberson is waivers exempt any longer.
He is
and I
not.
think, yeah, I don't think that. I think the team would rather risk losing Stetcher than Emberson on waivers if it came down to it. That's just sort of my hot take about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's fair.
we like Stetcher, but he's replaceable.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that, right? Like there's other players that can fill that void if needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look, I'm excited to see Leppinen play a couple games, right? See what, go back to as Patrick called me out already. I mean, preseason means I want to see him in the regular season, see how he does, see how he performs. Yeah. Go from there. Guys, we're like already an hour and a half in.
Just flying.
That's flying.
Hey, here's a hot question since I feel like being a bit of a dick. Does Josh Brown make the Bakersfield roster this year? Like, I'm sort of being quasi serious. Like, anybody see the game the other day? That was brutal, man.
Obviously not good, but I still think he makes their roster.
Wow.
I think just because they got to put him somewhere, not because he deserves it, really. But
I don't like. I get it. He's a good dude, right? It's not about being a good or a bad dude, but he's not very good at hockey, and the effort level that I saw the other night, he looked lost, and it's never a good look, right? So I don't know. I think that's a tough spot.
There'll be the odd night he sits out just because of the AHL veteran rules, and they got lots of guys they want to rotate in. But I think he's their most experienced D, so I think he'll get into the lineup a lot.
They have considerably less vets this year than they did last year, which is also a good thing.
yeah,
100%. But they got lots of kids they need to get a look at too.
Did we see any of Max Jones so far this preseason? I haven't been following too closely.
He was in the
he got
Winnipeg
hurt.
game, and I think he left. Yeah, he got hurt.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how serious it is, but
Yeah,
it was bad enough for
I
him
was trying to find an
leave.
update on that, but I couldn't find any update on him.
Like they haven't. Well, they didn't do a full skate today, right? So we wouldn't have heard anything.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He didn't. He would have been off the ice yesterday because he played in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So yeah, we probably won't hear anything till tomorrow at the earliest. But again, yeah, AHL. I had him on my second line for the AHL in my projection that I did, playing with Philp and Yarventi. That was kind of the line I put together. Or was it Mariala? I might have had him with Mariala. It was one of the young Finns.
Yeah, he wasn't going to make the team. So
No, definitely not.
no.
Where does Ike fit in this roster? Just kind of like poking at things here, and
And I remember a couple days ago, I think it was during the Winnipeg game, and because Knobloch has talked about putting the young guys down at the bottom of the lineup to limit their minutes as they get used to the NHL workload and to keep the pressure off of them. I made a post about worrying about Savoy being the next Jeff Skinner for this year, being a guy that should be in the top 6 based on skill set, but is going to be stuck in the bottom because of coach overthinking it, in my opinion. But Braden from Oilers After Dark, he re-quoted it and replied with a piece, or it was something Rob Brown said after the game, but same concept in regards to Ike Howard, basically being a Jeff Skinner clone, similar skating style, wearing the same number, defensive issues, but a ton of offensive talent.
yeah, that sort of
So,
was I actually had to double take the other day when I saw 53 like puttering across the ice in an all too familiar stride, and like, wait a second, did we re-sign Jeff Skinner and I wasn't paying attention? Nope.
yeah, no,
Ike
that's Ike
Howard.
Howard. So I I see him as kind of third line, but only if it's a scoring line. Like I think I don't see enough out of him yet to put him on a top line or even a second line. Because I mean, I want to see Savoy on the second line with Draisaitl. I don't like Howard and Savoy together. That's just a personal thing based on watching the rookie camp. I didn't think they gelled that well. Others may disagree, but that's a whole other conversation. So, yeah, it's a situation where I would rather see Howard play in the A than be stuck on the fourth line. Knobloch said something about wanting a more physical third line, and he can get that pretty easily with a few guys like Frederick, Tomasek. Even Savoy's more physical than Howard, right? Kapanen's physical; he could go there. So yeah, Howard's a bit of an awkward fit right now.
Well, I'll tell you what Howard's got going for him that Skinner doesn't have. Like Knobloch doesn't hate him, right?
Valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like,
Point Michael.
yeah. Like this is, he's got a chance, right? Like Skinner was doomed for failure, right? Like from the start.
Well, it took them half a year for them to anvil Skinner into a player they were happy putting on the ice, right? Just
Yeah.
because defensively he had some shortcomings, and I think that really kind of put Knobloch off him from the get-go, and I think he corrected a lot of that post-January timeframe. I saw better hockey out of Jeff Skinner than I think we expected, but he, it was clear that him and the coach weren't really a fit for each other, and that happens, I guess.
Yeah. So Josh Brown you had asked a question about Josh Brown making Bakersfield, and then I saw the blue screen of death. I was like, oh man, like apocalyptic or what? That's what happened to me. I just totally got picked up on waivers again, as some stranger keeps saying.
Well, I mean, they have 7 defensemen in Baco right now, even without sending Stetcher down. Like as it sits right now, it's Brown, Deneen, Akey, Stillman, Carfagna, Alec Regula, and Lepinen, right? Like that's what it's going to look like. So who out of those guys
seriously
are
one
they
of the
going to
worst
send?
games I've seen from a defenseman in my life, though, the other night. Like
Who? Josh Brown?
Josh Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
dude, it was bad. Like
Yeah.
I made a tweet about it like late in the third, and I think I said something to the effect of, if the forwards have to bail him out any more times, they're going to have to ask for protection money. Like it was wild. Like he was just standing on the goal line, and the forwards are just curling around underneath him, fighting his battles in the corner. And like, I don't know, I'm not a positional expert, but I've played enough defense in my life to understand the mechanics of that position, and just not good enough at even an AHL level. And so you have to wonder about where his if he's already sort of resigned himself to a certain fate or what. But
Geez,
that's a
Kevin, I
tough
hope the guys at
contract.
Two Butts aren't watching this.
Well, I
They're
mean,
going to be mad at you.
they can be mad at me if they want. It's
It's too late.
if they can be mad
Right.
at me if they want.
He's a
Like,
top 4 defenseman. He's going to have a breakthrough year
he's
somewhere.
a top 4 defenseman in the ECHL. Like,
We all agree
I
with you.
seriously don't dislike the guy that much. It's not like
Yeah.
it's just a pure skill and capability discussion and nothing more. And what I have seen of his capability leaves me really wanting and really puzzled by why that signing even occurred. Like,
Yeah.
we signed that contract, and Micah Blake McCurdy's instant reaction tweet to that was, Josh Brown is in fact the worst player in the NHL, with a picture of the SG chart. And he's not wrong. Like, it's not just like bad. It's an absolute travesty of a stat sheet. And I just don't understand how that made it through and what the decision-making process was there.
Size. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Literally.
I mean, he's
Size
big.
and PK.
He's
That
big.
was what Jackson was thinking.
Yeah.
I get that, but like,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
I
I'm not
remember
trying to
watching him like
justify
his
it.
first like 2 games or something, and he just got roasted on the penalty kill on, what was that, in the playoff? Was it in the playoffs that he played 1 game?
Yeah,
I
he
guess
played
the
game
Kings.
one.
And he
Yep.
got roasted on the penalty kill, and then he played like 3.5 minutes for the rest of the game. Just puzzling decisions all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, now, all of that being said, like, I mean, he's not making the roster. There's enough guys now in the depth chart that we're even asking the question: is he going to make the AHL? Which is an honest question, right? And
I'm being a little, to be fair, that's almost mean-spirited, right? Like,
well,
there's 7
it was
guys and they need
it was
6
one of
guys
the
for the
worst games I've seen a defenseman play. As far as I can remember. I mean, it was horrendous. You could have played a drinking game based on how many times the announcer said Josh Brown misplayed the puck. Like, it was in fact, I had just turned the TV on and that was the first thing I heard. Was it's not good, right? But look, like, it doesn't matter. Like, he's not making the team.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, some stranger says he was to replace Vinny, and honestly, I would take Vinny at the $1.5 million that we offered him over $1 million Josh Brown 11 days a week. It's not like, I know Vinny had his shortcomings as a player, and I have a huge blind spot for him for a lot of reasons, because I love the underdog stories. I love the Derek Ryans and the Vinny Desharnays. I broke into the league at 28, 29 years old, whatever. But Vinny was a overall better defenseman and an excellent shutdown defenseman, and he played mean hockey. He could chuck him. He could do it. He had some puck handling issues, sure, but he made some like solo effort game shutdowns through the regular season and the playoffs that literally won hockey games. And I have not seen a play like that from Josh Brown. And frankly, we haven't seen very much of him, so that's not entirely fair. But just not the same level of like sacrifice yourself. Right. That's just,
Well, we can't
it's a
see
tough
more of him,
spot.
though. Yeah. Every time you
No,
give him an
we,
opportunity, he makes you regret it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
In the A with his use, I mean, the right side is Brown, Regula, and Akey. Like, those are kind of the 3 I think we'll see the most option there. Like, they got Luke Prokop as well, who didn't look too bad in the last game that he played. I think that was Winnipeg. And so I think those are kind of most of the names on the right side. Boakey making his pro debut this year is going to be a rookie. Colin Chalk has never really loved his rookies, but he's in a situation where he's going to have to play a bunch of them this year. So how much do they want to play the second round rookie over a guy like Josh Brown, right? And Alec Regula. I mean, yes, we know we got him off waivers, but there's definitely a player there, and I think
There's noise
he
about
needs.
that too.
Yeah, he needs a big role in Bakersfield, right? So I think if Regula is in your top four, and I think it just depends on how weak he does. And Brown, I think, is going to get his ice time just because of his experience. But you're going to see a guy like Prokop get in there too, get his reps.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I'm not like, it is kind of a shitty comment to make. Like, is he going to make the AHL? I don't mean, really, at the end of the day, I don't mean that as a dig. I mean that as a legitimate question. Like, it's a tough spot.
Which happens to be a dig.
Hang on.
but,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I mean, we're
Yeah, I
sitting here
mean-
talking about it, giving it credence, right? Like it's
Hey,
there's some
look,
serious
I mean,
decision making
yeah.
and puck carrying skills, right? Or issues with those skills. So yeah, go ahead, Michael.
I look at these guys like they're all good players. They made it to where they're at, but
Yep.
at some point, you have to ask the question, are they good enough to be, at whatever level? Are they good enough to be at the AHL now versus NHL? And look, Josh Brown's just not good enough at that level anymore. He's good enough maybe to play AHLs. Maybe he finds another team if at some point, but
Just wanted to point out
is
there's an
good.
interesting comment there from McDose that whoever went to bat for Brown should probably lose their job. He came from Arizona, and Zach Cassian was with us and left. I can't remember the reason why Zach Cassian left, but I wonder if Cassian had the Arizona connection and he was somebody who went to bat for Josh Brown. They might have asked like Cassian what kind of tough guys are out there and who would you recommend? Like, I'm sure he wouldn't lose the job just outright for recommending Josh Brown, but I wonder if he was somebody who kind of went to bat for him there.
Yeah, it's possible for sure. Quaddy asked me, or said he's a millionaire, Kevin. He can handle it, and I can accept that thinking to a certain extent, as far as just the sheer like talent analysis side of it. But we are a pressure cooker of a market. We are extremely hard on our players. They get a lot of toxicity from the media overall and from the fan base. And I try really hard not to dunk too hard on guys constantly. I don't think that's balanced analysis. I genuinely do not think that Josh Brown is an NHL player, but that doesn't mean that I'm not cognizant of the fact that what I'm saying carries weight as far as, being a bit harsh, right? So I just, when I analyze players, I try not to really make it personal or make it about who they are as an individual. I'm analyzing the hockey player, and I think it's important that people remember that these people play hockey professionally, even for large sums of money, to entertain us. And this fan base in particular, and Toronto and a few of the other hotter markets, can be quite unforgiving on that front. So I try and bring a little bit of balance when I do that.
Yeah, great point, Kevin.
All right, guys, let's wrap this up. It's almost time for regular season out here on the East Coast.
Right? To the playoffs yet? We're just about there, right?
I know. I'd love to tell you how the Oilers are doing.
Yeah, Michael, did we win? Did we win?
We win.
It's just, this is right close to the Bautista bat flip as far as first streams go, boys. Like,
yeah. I've kicked myself off the stream twice, which, to some might not be the worst thing. There's, I'm the Josh Brown of the Oilers live stream.
Yeah.
Cleared
There was a
waivers,
little
though, and
spike
made
in
it.
our numbers there twice. I don't know what
That's
happened.
right.
but
That's
yeah.
right. There was a couple spikes in the numbers. No, great chat tonight. Good to have you guys back. and good to talk some hockey. And I love. I actually kind of like the way the season's looking for the Oilers right now.
Cautiously optimistic, right with
Yeah,
you, Michael. I think
yeah,
I'm, a little bit nervous about it just because of how much change. But I think I'm pretty confident we've improved this team over last year. Let's say that much.
yeah, yeah. That's kind of how I feel. And you know, taking away what you think of Bowman or whatever, but I like the style
Yeah.
of like picking up guys from other leagues and how he's looking at them, veteran guys, clearly having the right conversations, because these are not guys that nobody was looking at. They're guys that everybody was looking at, right? And he was able to convince them that the Oilers were the right stop. I think the pickup of Ike Howard was good. Mangiapane, I think, is a good pickup. I get more and more excited the more I think about Mangiapane and how he's going to fit into the lineup.
It's like a slightly chunkier Yamamoto. Hey, like that's
Yeah,
his real, like, he's not 5'0". He's got a little bit more size in all directions than Yams did. And I think he's a pretty smart hockey player. Like, we saw him when he scored his goal, he was exactly where he needed to be.
yeah,
And that's just a game sense thing, right? Like, I think that's really important.
yeah. Mick Dowse says there are other things going, like a full year of Wallman, right?
Yep.
Like we've got I think that the defense continues to round out year over year a little bit more. Gets a little bit stronger. Ekholm, if he's skating better, we'll see.
Kulak,
Yeah.
last year of his contract. I'm interested to see how that plays out. Does he become fodder? At the end of the day, he played 22 minutes a night or 23 minutes a night last season by the end of the season, right? Like, he was playing a lot of minutes, and I have a hard time seeing Lepinen pulling those kinds of numbers. But uh, you have to wonder at the cap hit difference if they make a change there, or if Kulak takes similar or less money for his next contract, or how that shapes up. I'd really like to see him stay with the team. He's a workhorse, but cap casualties are going to be still a thing for a little bit.
This comment made me laugh. We got a new, instead of the bread man, we're calling him Chunky Yamo. Thanks for that, Kevin.
You're welcome. Another useless meme from me.
All right, guys, we're gonna do around the horn and then call it a night, because I'm probably gonna. Who knows? I mean, I'll probably get kicked off again somehow, or I might just fall asleep. Thanks again, guys. I'll go first. We'll go around. Patrick, you get the honors of last word tonight. You've been this is the quietest I've seen you. So that's why I'm giving you last word, because we haven't heard enough out of you. Yeah. If you guys haven't heard, we've set the date for the Heavy Hockey Showdown, which, Kevin, you didn't really join us back then, but you probably know about it. It's our annual charity hockey game that we do in support of the Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton. We set the date, and I'm not ready to announce it yet, but we've set a huge goal this year. So we've kicked it off early this year. So, we're hoping to get a couple things, nice title sponsor, a couple other things for this game. It's going to be great. March 14th is the game. March 13th will be the pre-party, and then a whole bunch of us are going to Oilers versus Nashville on the 15th. So anyway, mark it down, save the date, do what you need to do. That's going to be a ton of fun. My last words. Look, as I just said, I like sort of how this roster is looking. I like I kind of like I love so far what we've seen in camp in terms of guys that are fighting for spots. We've brought up Lepinen's name I don't know how many times. I like that. I love the comments in the chat. About picking up Connor Ingram. I think that's a done deal. I think the Oilers will have Connor Ingram reporting at some point in the next couple days. It could be through somebody else might pick him up on waivers, but just from what I heard last week and then up until now, I just think it's going to happen. And it might be a small trade or something.
Was there any more rumbling about DiPietro out of Boston? I know there was a bunch of noise about that earlier in the summer, and it sort of just went.
Yeah, I haven't heard a thing since that time.
Last I heard was that Boston was trying to find a way to keep him. So I think they were probably trying to get rid of Korpisalo in some way, but that's
good luck.
a hard one to get rid of. Yeah.
How many more teams are going to learn that lesson?
Waivers or whatever, but yeah. Because I think somebody claims DiPietro if he hits waivers. I'd be shocked if he clears.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I mean that's kind of where I'm at. Like, mark that date down, and we're back, right? We're back. Oilerslive live streams back for the season. We're working on getting our season preview episode put together, which we do every year. Dash claims to be the victor year over year. I've fact checked it. We'll see. We'll see. I always write them down and we'll check about that. But look for that. Watch for everything. Go. I'll let the other guys talk about what they're doing, but go ahead, Ryan. You're up.
So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of a story here for my last word tonight. So if you haven't noticed the jersey I'm wearing, it's a special one. It's a DEL jersey from the German league, and it's a specialty jersey from the Iserlohn Roosters. So tying this back to the showdown a little bit, we had a participant from Germany last year. Her name was Svenja, and yeah. She and I have become pretty good friends, and I got to know her family and her then fiance, now husband, Nicholas, as well. And yeah, I got invited to the wedding, and this was a gift. And sorry. Anyway, so the story behind the Canada 1C jersey is you got to know something about the DEL, which is they have a limit on the number of export players that you can have, so like non-German players. And the other thing you need to know is the Iserlohn Roosters are a small market team, so they're not usually in the mix. So there's a few years in the mid 20 teens where they were in the mix, and a lot of the reason was because they had a lot of dual citizenship players from Canada that had German citizenship as well. So there was one night, Colton Tubert, former Oiler prospect, he got into a fight with the captain of the Cologne Sharks. It's Moritz Mueller, and big fight. He won the fight. Crowd went wild, and in an interview afterwards, Mueller made a comment about it being embarrassing that the Iserlohn Roosters had so many Canadians. He called them the Canada 1C team. So their marketing team went with it, and we have the Canada 1C specialty jersey. So there you go. Fun little story. So yeah, shout out to Svenja and Nicholas, and congratulations on the wedding. And also shout out to their friend and my new friend, Michel, as well, new follower for Heavy Hockey. He kept me company during the wedding and played a big role in making sure I wasn't thirsty at the reception. So shout out to Michel as well. Yeah, that's my last word. So over to Kevin.
We'll put that new follower in your bonus money. All right.
Yeah.
Kevin, you're up.
Yeah, all right. Well, in the theme of shout outs, I actually want to give a shout out to Low Tide for getting married this past weekend. That's a big change for him, and I'm glad to see that he's rebounded in his personal life after his tragic loss. And super happy for him, and I wish him the best. I'm pretty excited about the upcoming season. I see a lot of good things, a lot of reasons to not be worried about, Connor's situation or the caliber of this team overall. I still think we're going to see a couple small moves yet, whether we see that Connor Ingram or whether we see another goalie pull or even a winger later in the season. So we'll see how things shape up. But for the time being, it looks like they have lots of talent for both teams, and I think that it's good to be back in the saddle for another go at it.
Well, since we're telling nice stories, I got a nice one that happened this past weekend. As you guys know, Russ Jericho, he's been on the Forever 99 podcast with Eric Friesen, and big fan of the channel and my channel as well. He got the chance to meet his hero, Calvin Pickard. He's probably the biggest Calvin Pickard, easily the biggest Calvin Pickard fan in the world. And I guess Calvin Pickard reached out. I got to be there with him, and as he was going in to meet him, so that was a really special moment, and glad I could be a part of that. And wanted to give Russ a shout out here on the show. Just so happy for him. After he came out of there, they call it cloud 9, but I think he was on cloud 50. He had tears in his eyes. It's going to be a moment that he's going to remember for the rest of his life. He showed Calvin Pickard the shirts that he makes. Calvin Pickard signed all of his jerseys, gave him a autograph stick and everything. So yeah, really, really nice moment. So great shout out for Russ, and looking forward to that, going to the season opener with him. So I think there's going to be a few more special things happening that night. We'll see how it all unfolds here, but hopefully the Oilers can get a big win for him in the season opener there before he heads back to the UK in October. But I guess I'm the last one. So thank you to everyone for joining us in the chat here, and have a great night, everyone.